Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are, wherever you're watching us and tuning in today. Thank you for being here for the last talk show of the year. It's unbelievable that 2022 is nearly gone. Yeah, a few weeks, few days, sorry, and then it's gone. So before we start with this great topic, and thank you very much, Tanya, for being here and sharing the screen with me today for the last talk show of the year. So I would like to introduce Tanya Otterstein-Liehs, and she lives in Ontario, Canada, and loves gardening, painting, crafts, cycling, and hiking. She's an authoritative expert on self-care, mindset, and she's certified fitness coach who's been featured on Rogers TV, Worldly Podcast, and has been quoted in magazines. She's also a motivational speaker, co-author, host of 2 podcast shows, and has a YouTube channel. Tanya transformed the lives of introverted women by coaching them on the importance of self-care, self-love, and provides the how-tos of revamping and creating a positive mindset and outlook on life. Globally supporting, motivating, and inspiring women to become empowered, positively shift their mindset and include self-care into their daily lifestyle. Her teachings and messages allow women to finally release their self-inner critic, gain self-confidence, self-love, self-worth, and to finally love their own reflection. Gone are the fears, excuses, and guilt for opening up space and making vital life-dependent me time every day. Tanya runs an online self-care mastermind program for women and is a keynote presenter, facilitates support group for women CEOs, as an online group community for introverted women, and offers in-house and online self-awareness for workshops for businesses. So welcome, Tanya, and thank you very much for being here today. And I know you're going to talk to us about mindset transformations starting within our soul. So welcome on Isabelle's talk show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and sharing this really vital conversation. It's a conversation and messages we hear all the time about loving who we are and taking care of ourselves. But it's the point of, do we give ourselves permission to make ourselves a priority? Because all that self-love, that self-compassion, that self-worth, the self-care, it all works together into this journey that we're on.
That's true, because self-compassion as well, we're not our best friends sometimes, we are usually our worst enemies.
Yeah.
So, and self-care, I know sometimes like we don't really like routine, and the self-care is just like, oh well, I'll do it tomorrow. But no, it's every day and today. And so tell us a bit more then about this mindset transformation within our soul.
Yeah, you're right that we always put it off. We'll do it tomorrow because we think it needs to be, women think it needs to be very complicated, and they have to do it this way because so-and-so does it, and they have to do it this way because they've read it's the best. But I always say, what works for you? What fits into your schedule? What is it that you feel is going to uplift you? Because when you choose whatever that may be, that's when you stick to it. That's when it becomes just a part of your routine, like brushing your teeth and putting on clothes, right? If I can share something, Isabelle, something that I do that's, become a part of my routine. And oh my gosh, how long have I been doing it? Probably 5 years now. And that's called, daily gratitude. And people often think, well, what is that? So I, wake up, I open the blinds, open, the curtains. I do not have my phone near me. anywhere, because people often wake up and grab their phone. But I get up, I stretch, and then I go put on the kettle, make myself a lemon water, and I take my gratitude journal and I write down 5 simple things that I'm grateful for. And that simple mindset routine has a huge impact on how you start to feel about yourself, how you view things. And I feel that it kind of lowers the stress level that you may be feeling, because when I've made the choice to create that daily gratitude journaling, it helps me to see things in a more positive light. I mean, when we look around, Isabel, there's so much negativity out there, right? And comparison of ourselves to others, that self-judgment. But when you write a little thing, like something I write every day is, I'm grateful for my health because it keeps me alive and living. It's very simple, right? And then I'll make a green tea. And that's when, okay, do a few other things, and then I get into work mode. But taking those 15, 20 minutes in the morning before I dedicate my time to anything else, that is already giving myself worthiness, giving myself kindness, giving myself, care, and even love by doing that. Or I say too to, women, that if you're feeling stressed and all this, stress is on your shoulder, you're thinking of all the things you have to do, begin to recognize that the shoulders are tight, your heart beats, and I'm feeling tight and tension, I'm getting early. Recognize that and take 5 minutes just to look out the window or look away from your computer. You can be, let's say it's the holiday time, people are shopping, they're getting like really stressed. Even, that deep breathing exercise, nobody knows you're doing it. And it's simple. You can fit into your routine every day. And overall, looking in the mirror. How many times do we look in the mirror and we ridicule ourselves? We're our biggest critic.
Yes.
So looking in the mirror, giving yourself a compliment. And I'm not going to say that I never hear my inner critic, because I do. I hear her. She talks. She is always there. And when I say always, it could be something small, it can be something big, but that is the truth. Our inner critic is always there. We hear her all the time. So I hear her, but then I double up and say, okay, but I have beautiful eyes, or I have a beautiful smile. I love my smile. I love my blue eyes. I love the way I am able to walk or move my body. And then that inner voice becomes a little quiet, and maybe there's days you don't even hear her anymore. Right? And move your body every day. Again, it doesn't have to be a huge workout. It doesn't have to be, a run. It doesn't have to be this, 2-hour walk every day. It can be around the block. It can be that stretch in the morning, that 5-minute stretch. But do get outside every day, no matter how cold it is. As you mentioned, I live in Ontario, Canada. So we're in winter now. But you just get dressed and go outside for that walk. And we all can make time. It's whether we choose to let the excuses tell us we don't, or we can choose to make ourselves a priority. Because Isabelle, you and I both know nobody can make ourselves a priority but ourselves.
I agree. Put ourselves first.
We as women, we excel in putting everybody else, prioritizing everybody else, even work, but we fail to recognize ourselves, right? And we fail to recognize the beautiful person that we are inside and outside, because we give compliments, but do we give that self compliment? And that goes back to when I mentioned, when we look in the mirror every morning, every day, give yourself a compliment. And being an introvert myself, a natural introvert, it's something that we sometimes are very uncomfortable in a crowd. So it's okay, recognize that. And I often say too, if you need to put a white bubble around yourself to feel protected, then do that. Because in the real world, there are times we're going to be in a crowd, or we're going to be in a room, and we are going to feel uncomfortable. And that is just our human nature, but that's nothing to be ashamed of. That's something to be actually proud of because it makes you who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true. The thing, as you say, the self-compassion and
Yeah.
doing that routine as well of the gratitude, we focus so much on the negative,
Yeah.
and it's always the image I use, like the glass. Is it
Yes.
half full or half empty?
Yeah.
So, and I feel as well that when you are grateful with what you've got, you attract new things as
Yes.
well, good vibes. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not a very routine person, but what I'm trying to discipline myself, and I've got like a board, like a board where I've got like a small table, and when
Yeah.
I've done my exercise, I'm so happy to just tick and just say, "Hey, I've done it."
Yeah. Yeah. It's true, right? It's true. And I love how you said that you checked it off and you're happy, right? It's like the celebration, right? It could be like the smallest thing, but celebrate those baby steps, celebrate those milestones is what I say, because if you weren't doing it yesterday, but you did it today, that is huge. Something as simple as making your bed.
Hmm.
Right? There's such a difference when you walk into your room and your bed is made. And was it take 30 seconds? Maybe a minute, as opposed to walking into a room where the bed's not made, because that's already chaos then, right?
Yeah.
So make your bed. It's something I do every morning, right? It's once I go upstairs to get dressed, I make my bed first and then I get dressed, because even having that bed made already lifts you up when you go, you go in your room now and you're picking out clothes, and that you already, as you mentioned, you already have that positive vibe going, right?
Mhm.
And something, Isabel, I think is very important to note is that this journey of self-love and self-compassion and self-care, it is a never-ending journey, but a positive one, right? You can't expect to shift your mindset overnight, but when you follow through by taking these small baby steps, like making your bed every day, giving yourself a compliment when you look in the mirror every day, putting it out in your mind or writing it down in a gratitude journal every day, you know, uh, drinking a tea or coffee that you love every day. Those are simple things. And when you start implementing that, and I'll say implementing because for some people, it is going to, okay, I need to do this. I need to implement it. And then it becomes natural,
Mhm.
right? And then you have these goals. You mentioned goals. Let's say you have this goal to, I'm going to say, this goal to be more adventurous because I'm in the house all the time. Okay, well, not say, okay, all of a sudden I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this, or no, what's that small baby step? Okay, be more adventurous then, read a book about adventure or read an article about adventure. Step outside and go for a walk or a hike where you've never been before.
Oh,
That's
exactly.
adventurous,
Make
right?
a,
Or
make
pending,
a change. Make a change.
you make a change, right? It's that we're so comfortable. We're so comfortable. And when we need to step beyond it, that can be very uncomfortable. But be proud when you even taken that baby step. Be proud of yourself for that. My this journey that I've been on, it started when I was like 24, 25, right? It's if I can do a little back end story, Isabel. I came from a very loving family. I always want to point that out. My parents are the most loving parents around, and they did the best they could. But I was bullied in grade 5 and 6. In the middle school, I was bullied as well. Then, when I came into high school, the first 2 years of my high school, I was bullied as well, even though I had some very kind friends. There's always bullies, right? And then, and I was also sexually harassed in middle school, grade 7 and 8. And, I don't want to go into this long story, but just give a summary. And then I was in my 20s in a very verbal abusive relationship, being that shy person still, even though I was in my 20s. And, some, I think, inner deep wounds that were there from being bullied for so many years. And there was one point then I had this light bulb moment when I was in this verbally abusive relationship, because I started going through this self-healing, and I discovered, it's like, wait, I deserve more than what I'm receiving. I do not deserve, this person does not deserve me. And I broke up that relationship. And I took 1.5 years to go on this self-healing journey.
Mhm.
And in that self-healing journey, I looked deep within myself and I healed. And, people say, oh, you poor thing, you were bullied. Well, no, that was a learning journey, because then I became a stronger person.
I
Right.
agree. You needed to go through, and for
Yeah,
nothing but through that relationship to just
exactly.
that you deserve better. And
Exactly.
oh,
Yeah. And it was, okay, who deserves me? Not who do I deserve, was who deserves me. Right.
mhm,
And I finally discovered who I was, what I wanted in life, what I found would be characteristics of someone who deserves me. Yeah. And then, went out, then explored the world of relationships, and then met somebody, and it's been history, a wonderful history journey. Of course we all have ups and downs,
mhm,
but it's when we allow ourselves to go through the ups and downs and know that we become stronger no matter what on the other side. And those learning curves, or those ups or downs, are part of learning, right?
mhm,
So if anybody out there has been on, any of the things I just briefly touched on, then know that you are deserving of good things, right? And when you realize that, by giving yourselves again those compliments, loving who you are, not looking at your flaws as flaws, but things that make you unique.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. And but that's the thing as well, the education. I mean,
Yeah.
you were very lucky. Not everybody had a very loving parents, but
Yeah.
when the education in at school, I mean, the everything's got to be perfect.
Yeah.
Well, no, it can't be perfect. It's a learning curve, and allowing even children to make mistakes, so
Yes.
that's where they can learn, and
Mhm.
then they grow like adults, as adults being compassionate with
Yeah.
themselves and saying,
Yeah.
okay, well, I've made a mistake because I didn't have the right information, or
Yeah.
okay, I didn't give my 100%, so that's normal if I made a mistake. And just being compassionate, because we are not taught how to be
Yeah.
compassionate
Yeah.
ourselves. We're compassionate towards others,
Yeah.
right? Our best friend. And that's why I keep saying sometimes to my clients, how would you talk to your best friend about that
Yeah.
situation?
Yeah. So true, right? So, so true.
And why are
It's,
you not talking to yourself that way then?
yeah. Yeah. And it's all these, when we hear, we look out there and we hear so many things, or we read so many things, do this, do this, do this, your mindset's going to start transforming. Well, how can you start doing those things if you do not validate first the words you're using to describe yourself,
Mhm,
right? Or you're not beginning the day again with those simple baby steps, right? This mindset transformation, it happens through baby steps. I always say that if we try to do a 180 shift, very bluntly, you're setting yourself up for failure. It's like climbing a mountain, climbing a hill. You take one step at a time. Like you walk, you put one foot in front of the other, right? So
mhm,
when you do a simple thing, a baby step, that's when that mindset begins to transform. And it's repeating that. You know how they say when we repeat something for 30 days, that's when we slowly begin to shift, or that's when slowly things become a part of our life, right? So that mindset shift, or that mindset transformation happens. And being aware of yourself, it's taking even that moment to say, okay, tune in here for a second. How am I feeling right now at this moment? Or I'm really upset. Well, what led me to feeling this way,
mhm.
right?
What triggered it? What triggered it? What was
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
mhm,
and know that you're not a superhuman. You're not a superhero, right? I mean, we people say, "Oh, but I have to be perfect." Perfect doesn't exist. I'm
yeah,
sorry. What you see on there on social media and what maybe you've read, nobody is perfect. Nobody is. So stop comparing yourself to that person, or look at everything they have, or look at, look at how, hot they look, I'll say, or how beautiful they are. Look at everything they have. Well, look at what you have.
Yes.
And appreciate that. Because
Mm-hmm.
even those people that have everything, they are not the happiest. They may look the happiest because that's what they have to appeal to or look in front of other people. But, realize deep down, there's lots of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important to listen to our emotions,
Yeah.
and because in the title you're talking about the soul, right?
Yeah.
And just before our call, I was talking to my mom, and she was like, "Okay, soul, but transformation, soul," and it's just like, well, it's like that little voice which will guide you, not that inner critic we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
And but that intuition, we can say as well, that guide which will tell you,
Yeah.
sometimes through emotions,
Yeah.
and through your body, yes, you're on the right track, yeah, no, you're not.
Yeah.
So it's as well listening to that little voice and that intuition,
Yeah.
to start changing a little bit the mindset and trusting out oneself.
Yeah. Yeah. I love, Isabel, how you said trusting oneself. I mean, how that, you're right. That deep soul is everything that we suppress,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when we start to look within ourselves and start to release that soul and listen to that soul, listen to that gut. How many times do we ignore that intuition, that instinct, that gut feeling, that inner voice? How many times do we ignore it? And then also, we turn around and say, oh, why didn't I listen to my inner voice? Why didn't I listen to my gut feeling? And then the negativity starts again, because then you're angry or you're upset with yourself for not listening. Okay, it was a mistake. Realize, you're allowed to make mistakes, but think of it as a learning curve. Like,
That's
okay,
exactly what I say.
yeah, it's a learning curve. So instead of, beating yourself up about it, say, okay, so this is what happened. Well, next time I am going to listen to my gut a little bit more, a little bit
Exactly.
more. Yeah.
Not making a decision straight away.
Yeah.
And for example, when somebody asks you for something, or I know I had, for example, in my previous life in sales, like an offer for a job,
Yeah.
and I got that big horrible feeling in my stomach, but I
Yeah.
went against it, and that wasn't a good decision,
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's just like sometimes taking the time to just listen and see how the body reacts, because
Yeah.
that's GPS, really. That's
Yeah. A roadmap, right? It's a roadmap. And while we were talking, I thought of something too. I'll just even related to, women going shopping. They're thinking they need all this stuff and they're filling up their basket or their shopping cart, right? Not thinking twice. They're on impulse, right? So, I've done that before. It's like, I'll have, shopping a basket, put this in, but then I'll stop wherever it's the side of an aisle or something and look at it. It's like, okay, do I really need this? Do I really need this? Or like, I can do without this. And then, maybe you had 10 things and you're down to like one or two. It's like, yeah, okay, I need that toilet paper or whatever, right? Okay, that's a yeah. But, do I need these new pairs of socks, for example? Well, no, I don't, because I already have enough socks at home. Just because they're really cute, no, I don't need them. And it's fine to do that. Like, don't care if someone starts looking at you thinking, why are you like getting rid of stuff? Why are you looking at what you have in your basket or your shopping cart? Like, who cares? Like, don't worry about what other people are thinking, because what do you want to do? Do you want to come home unpacking all these things and realize, oh my gosh, I didn't need all this? And then you have to go back to where you purchased it, right? Or send it back because you ordered it online. And then, being really upset with yourself. Or do you want to come home? It's like, yeah, I really needed these two things because they were a necessity. And you actually feel quite good when you even, at the checkout, it's like, it's a smaller fee because, a lot of people, I mean, money is a big thing right now, right? A lot of people, we're all tight with money. So then, you're only spending this much versus this much. So it might seem like, wow, I didn't even think of, shopping that way. right? But see, it's amazing how it affects so many other factors,
Mhm.
right? Affects so many other factors. So again, it's taking that baby step, right? Listening to that gut, listening to that instinct, saying, okay, let's look at this stuff and let's think. My gut's saying, my intuition saying, well, I don't need it, so put it away. Right?
Mhm.
Don't listen to that impulse
Yeah.
telling you, oh yeah, you should get this because, like, no. Start, I always say the simplicity of life is what makes us happy, not all the gizmos and the gadgets and the knickknacks.
I totally agree with you. I
Yeah.
mean, I ended up here in Ecuador backpacking right after. Well, that was my last destination in South America, but I was backpacked for
Yeah.
probably 4 months
Wow.
there and in South America. And I realized that we can live with so much less
Yeah.
than usually we have, and as well that we can be happy. People here, for example, don't have as much,
Mhm.
and they are happy, and they are, as you say, gratitude
Yeah.
because they're happy with what they've got,
Yeah.
right? Of course, they would like a bit more, which is fine. Having
Yeah.
ambition,
Yeah.
it's not like something bad, as sometimes people would like you to think. But it's just like a healthy ambition, just like not having for the sake of having, is just enjoying it and
Mhm.
enjoying the journey as well of
Yeah.
getting what you want. And but yeah, and it's a way as well to as well get rid of things, as you were
Mm.
saying. Listen
Yeah.
to your guts, even with relationships,
Yeah.
like
Oh my gosh.
friends, and
Yeah.
listen to the energy
Yeah.
you have when you're around certain people.
Mhm.
Some of them will be vampires, some of them will energize you. And it's a way as well to love yourself, saying, you know what, with this person now and then, but not every week, for example, and just
Yeah.
say, okay, I don't want to cut that relationship, but at the same time, I'm just protecting myself.
Yeah.
So the all the energy and the with relationships is really trusting in oneself, trusting that little soul just appearing sometimes to say, hey, little alert, just be
Yeah.
careful.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting you brought that up too, because that made me think of, when you say relationships, relate to friendship. Oh gosh, how many years ago? It must be 17 years ago now. Yeah. I finally, I said goodbye to a relationship that I had known, like a friend for 20 years, because when I was around her, the way she talked, she got more and more negative, and, and comparison, and just, it became a very toxic
Mhm.
relationship versus a good friendship. And, I had a choice to make. It's like, do I keep this toxic friendship, or do I say, I'm done? Right. And I finally said, I'm done.
Mhm.
And, people told me, it's like, you were friends that long with her and you said, goodbye. It's like, yeah, because this is me. Do I keep on, like, getting tense every time I know I have to meet up with her? It's like, oh no, not looking forward to it. What kind of friendship do I want? Do I want a friendship where I can laugh with, smile, or do I want a friendship where it's all negative and nothing positive about it? Right? That is a choice I'm going to validate myself in
Mhm.
making. And, it was the best thing. And, and then I kind of had this moment too after, I ended, because I knew there would be her messaging me back. I totally ignored it. It's like, no, we're done. I'm cutting myself off from you. And there was once a letter that came in the mail. I did not even read it, because
Mhm.
I don't, that book is now closed and
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't need to open that book again, because I'm
Mhm.
sure there would have been guilt messages in there, and I'm better than that. That
Yes.
friendship was not deserving of me anymore.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think it's, bringing that to family members too. There might be family members, our audience that's listening today might be like, yeah, that's great, but I have this family member. So as you mentioned yourself, Isabel, then, limit the time you're with them. Or if you notice, okay, they're getting really toxic and I have to be in this room, then just excuse yourself, go to the bathroom, breathe and lower it. Or wear, I was having conversation with somebody about the other day, wear a necklace you like or earrings, or put something in your pocket that really calms you or brings you joy. And as you're talking with them, touch that necklace or put your hand in your pocket and think about that joy. Or again, going back, where I said, excuse yourself, go to the bathroom, calm yourself, put that white pebble around yourself, and realize that, okay, how they're being or how they're talking, I'm not going to absorb that. I'm going to try and release it. And if you're still absorbing that negative energy, once you leave the situation, before you step into your vehicle or what, like stand outside and take a breath of fresh air and breathe in the good air and release all the negativity I'm feeling and release how this person's making me feel. And do that a few times. And it's amazing how that simple exercise can make a huge difference.
Yeah, or find a tree and just give a hug to the tree. That's really good as well. To just because that poor tree would absorb the negative vibes, but at
Yeah.
least release, and you don't, because you feel drained with those
Yeah.
people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's why
You
I call
do.
them vampires.
Yeah,
Mm.
you do. You feel very drained, and you can go there feeling energetic and just feel that energy. So if you're sitting down and that negative person or that family member's in your room, put your feet on the ground and
Yeah.
imagine the roots of your body going deep into that earth like a tree and filling you up still with kindness and love, right? If you have, a family member with you, your spouse or partner, whoever that you're with, around this person, just, touch their hand or make a signal to them, decide beforehand what the signal is or that word is, so they know when you're feeling like this, they can come and just touch you or have that communication, how you feeling, or, oh, there's just quick something I want to show you, so they can pull you out of that situation. But, don't feel that you have to be there. Don't feel you have to sit there and take all that negativity. I mean, listen to yourself, give yourself permission to do that. I mean, we have, my husband's sister-in-law, his sister, she's very negative, and the holidays are coming and we're going to be with her on Christmas Eve. But I'm going to put that white bubble around me, and, I'm going to do what I do every year. I breathe, I, remove myself from the table, because she actually affects every person at that table. It's how negative she is. She's a very angry person. And my husband has learned as well from me now. He will step away from the room, walk out of the room when he says, like, okay, I've had enough. I need to just kind of, and I'll go join him for those few minutes, like, okay. Yeah. So I mean, that is the world. We have people around and we have things around us. But remember again, and sometimes, what we'll do, and we'll do again on Christmas Eve is, we'll look at our children. I mean, they're 16 and 20, and my daughter is going to be 17, and we'll just look at them as like, oh, this is so, like, look how big they are. Look how they're glowing with happiness to be with their cousins, right? Just refocusing briefly on
Yes, on
something
something
else.
positive. On something
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And feeling that winter on our faces when we go outside. Yeah.
Yeah, it's enjoying and recognizing the situation, but not being like absorbed by it, and just say, because I've got the choice.
Yeah.
To just carry on with that negative person, or just say, you know what, I'm not going to be in that space or going in that space. So just looking at it as, okay, that's your view and I don't want that. So turn to something else positive, something positive to get that good vibe. So
Yeah, I love that, right? Not adding into the conversation. Oh, so true. There's people that could be, they're talking so negative, and it's like, I'm just going to sit here quiet. I'm not even going to add to the conversation, because that just gets everybody angry. You're getting yourself angry, right? And realize, like, yeah, that person, yeah, they're going negative again, but I'm not even going to add to the conversation. And I find too, when you stop and not even add to the conversation. They just sometimes ignore it, or they're less angered, and then you bring up something else, and all of a sudden the conversation goes towards there. You got
Exactly.
the new conversation, right?
Well, they've got no fire anymore. In the
Yeah.
way that they've got nobody to, well, I will say, vomit their rubbish. That's
Yes.
and
Yeah.
so in a way it's just like, oh well, they feel helpless because there's nobody to talk to about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so true, right? It's all these little things that you and I have been talking about, Isabel, that creates that transformation or that shift or mindset, right? It's those little, again, back to the beginning, those little baby steps you do, and being aware of those little baby steps and making them part of your daily routine and your daily habits. It starts to become, it just starts to flow. It's like that even flow of a river, right? It's just naturally starts to happen. So yeah,
mhm.
it's a beautiful shift that you can feel happen, and you might even notice other people's coming up to you and saying, that there's something a little bit different about yourself, right? It's like, oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And say thank you, and it's interesting how, I have we haven't done it for a while because of what has happened over the last 2 years in the world, but we're starting up in January. I have a women's entrepreneur group, a local one, that we get together 1 month in the evening and 1 month during the day, so women, they have a chance to get together at least every other month. And something they learned was they stopped apologizing. So,
Mhm,
they'd be talking, they say, oh, sorry about that. It's like, oh, right, Tanya, you said don't be sorry for that. It's like, exactly. If you were, if you were doing that, or you're meant to say that, you were meant to for a reason. So stop apologizing. They said it was very uplifting in that group, not feeling they had to apologize for things.
mhm.
So that in itself, it's like they looked forward to that, because it was just like this very relaxed environment, and they received like this uplifting feeling. We were all supportive and bringing joy, and realizing them. I'd say, like, be proud of yourself, ladies, because you're making this time for yourself. You chose to take this hour, these 2 hours we're together, and making it for yourself.
Definitely, and it
Yeah,
gives them the permission to be
yeah,
themselves
yeah,
by
exactly.
stopping saying I'm sorry. It's just like I'm sorry. It's just like it will stop straight away the
Yeah,
conversation, and it will generate feeling. Can I say that? Just being ashamed of what they've said, or being guilty. That's what I was
yeah,
looking for.
yeah,
Feeling guilty as not doing that is just like that's the way I am. Take
yeah,
me as I am.
yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah.
So
If you can't
being
take me
more
the way
conscious.
I, yeah, if you can't take me the way I am, you're not deserving of me or my time.
Exactly. Exactly. I totally agree. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just I mean, in a nice way,
Oh,
saying things,
yeah.
obviously. But just like, well, if you can't take it, I'm afraid we're not on the same level.
Wavelength. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
wavelength.
Yeah.
So that's for sure. So from our conversation, so starting with a routine like stretching and gratitude, compassion with ourselves, and obviously towards others.
Yeah.
Listen to our soul, like that
Mm,
little voice, through our bodies, our emotion,
yeah.
to well, reconfirm a little bit our decisions, and for relationship, for a job, for whatever, really, just like pausing and listening to ourselves. Anything else you would give us as an advice, Tanya, to have that transformation of
Yeah.
mindset?
Yeah. I say, something I really find helps women when I ask them to start implementing it to their day is taking 5 minutes every day just for you,
Mhm.
to focus on yourself, to be in the moment.
Yeah.
Because again, we're so busy from morning to when we go to bed. Like, did you take 5 minutes for yourself? Right? Did you take 5 minutes for yourself? And it's not long. Like 5 minutes is nothing, right? Nothing. like write it. I don't like saying this, but it often helps women that never make time for themselves. This is something I tell them, and they start, and then it starts to become naturally. Schedule an appointment that you can't cancel with yourself. 5 minutes, like a doctor's appointment, right? Like a dentist appointment, like a hair appointment. Would you cancel those things? Dentist, no. So this is a 5-minute appointment with yourself. You cannot cancel. And yeah, I saw that you pulled out your phone, because yeah, some people, schedule in your phone. Make that, I don't like saying make the alarm go off, because that's already, it startles you. Right? But you make that 5-minute appointment with yourself. And, if you were planning to do it in the morning, it didn't happen, do not get upset. You're allowed flexibility. Then do it when, you're driving, or do it when you're, on your, let's say the train you take wherever, or the bus. Take the 5 minutes then. Or as you're lying in bed, take the 5 minutes then. Instead of all these thoughts going through your head, take those 5 minutes to simply relax my body, focus on my body. And I always say, and I do this myself, is when you go to bed at night, think about the best thing that happened, because there always is one thing that happened that was the best thing. Whether it was you heard the birds chirp, whether the sun was shining, whether someone gave you a smile. Smile more, everybody. And then when you wake up in the morning, think about or write it down, things that you're grateful for. I have, my list is 5. Every day it's 5. Yeah, it's like on your hand. It's easy to remember, right? And smile.
Yeah.
And smile. But you haven't, when you're done watching this Facebook Live or catching the recording, go to the mirror and smile. Go to the mirror and smile and give yourself a compliment. Or if you can't leave right now, you're sitting there, it's like, okay, this is done. What's a compliment I can give myself?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something we are not very good at, women, to receive compliments. And suddenly it's just like, wow, like that. And it's just like, yeah, okay, receive it and thank people.
Yes, I love that. Exactly. I love that. Like you said, people's like, oh yeah, this, like, no, say thank you very much. I appreciate your compliment. Yes. And I like saying I appreciate it makes them happy instead of you waving it off, right? And kind of it uplifts you, because you actually received it and you brought it in you, and then you reciprocated, and then knowing you brought them joy for saying thank you brings you joy again, so you're doubling up.
Exactly. Yeah, because they tend to smile, and yeah, definitely those. So compliment is I make compliments, but I have to say it took me a long time to receive compliments or accept them,
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you need to give a compliment back.
No, that's true.
Yeah, but it's true. People say, oh, well, yeah, well, okay, thank you. Yeah, I like your top 2. No, doesn't mean you need to give them a compliment, because then is it truly a compliment, or do you just feel you have to give them one back?
No.
Right? And you can tell in the tone of a voice too, if it's true or not.
Yeah. So many tips. Thank you very much, Tanya. So changing the mindset, and that's something we will be working on to invite 2023 for a new mindset, being like transformed for next year. So thank you ever so much for being here, Tanya. And so that's the last talk show of the year. But don't worry, I will be back in January on the 19th, and my guest will be Siobhan Doherty, who's already been on the talk show. And obviously, if you've missed the previous talk shows, don't worry, check my YouTube channel, which is Phoenix Coaching and Training, and click on that little bell. You get all the notifications, so you will be able to watch the next ones, the ones in January. So thank you ever so much, Tanya. Come back next year.
Yeah,
I'm so happy to have you and carry on the conversation on the mindset, transformation, self-love, the topic you choose. And audience, in advance, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and see you next year.